guys, okay, so I saw this stat from the NFL this week. They put it out. The average margin of victory in the NFL this year is 9.29 points per game, a little over 9 points per game.
Less than that.
That's the lowest margin of victory league-wide since 1932. What's that mean? It means these games are close. How many times do we say, oh, the Lions are close? Yeah. This game's close. I think last week, 8 of the 13 games were within one-score games. The Lions have played in 6 one-score games, Braylon. They lost their first 4. They have won their last 2. These plays are literally coming down to 1 or 2 plays that decide who wins and who loses.
I'm glad the stat came out. I'm glad we're able to talk about it because often than not, so many times around the city of Detroit or the metropolitan area, you hear this, oh, they almost beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They almost beat the Minnesota Vikings. They were right there with the Seattle Seahawks, man. They were just so close. Guess what? Everybody's close. Everybody's close, so I don't want to hear it. The good coaches, the coaches that stick, the coaches that were good hires, the coaches that go to the playoffs, they go to the Super Bowls, they go to the conference championships, they find a way to win those close games. They find a way to secure the victory at the end and get over that hump. That's what Dan Campbell and the Lions got to do, and he's done it the last 2 weeks in a row. He's found a way to beat the Green Bay Packers in the 4th. He's found a way to beat the Chicago Bears in the 4th, in the trenches. But the young guys are getting these wins, Ryan, and that's the kicker. That is the invaluable part about this all, is you're seeing young guys learn how to win on the fly. You're seeing young guys like understanding, oh, maybe what Dan Campbell was talking about makes sense. Maybe the work that we put in from Tuesday through Sunday or Tuesday through Saturday, maybe that stuff really is working. To see it unfold, to see you get wins, now you start to buy in more, and now you start to play good defense. Discipline too. That was a big thing this last week. They were very disciplined.
And we talk about these 1 or 2 plays per game that really are the difference between winning and losing. And I think for any team that wins or any team that makes the playoffs, a little bit of luck is involved in this as well. We're sitting here talking about a football team in the Detroit Lions that has won 2 straight games, talking about them like they potentially could win this week, and if they do, I think you can legitimately put that now at 4-6 in the NFC, put them in a conversation for a playoff berth. Now that might end on Thursday when they play the Bills, but at 4-6 it could. One of the things I just wanted to say about this, just to highlight how crucial one play is. Remember that Jared Goff interception?
Which one?
Was called back against the Bears.
Against the Bears. That was luck.
That was called back because
illegal
of a
use
penalty
of the
on the Bears that had nothing to do with the play. It was an illegal use of the hands penalty against the Bears. Nothing to do with the play, but Chicago's that defensive penalty negated an interception. The Lions score on the next play, and then Okudah, after that, comes up with a pick 6. So instead of the Lions down by 14 and the Bears have the ball, 2 plays later, essentially, it's a tie game. One play. Turnovers make the difference. You got to protect the football.
When people use the word luck, you got to understand the definition of luck. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. That's what luck is. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So that's when you see teams that they say, oh, that was a lucky situation. Preparation is knowing what position to be in. It's knowing what down the distance is. It's knowing what are their tendencies in this position. It's knowing what are the quarterbacks count. Like, it's knowing all of these moments. It's knowing what you study. It's the preparation part. You get lucky when you're in the right spot. You get lucky when preparation has told you where you should be in this passing lane, where you should be on this particular down the distance, where you should be with this running back when he fakes this way, etc. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and when preparation meets opportunity. And that's what you're starting to see. When you're prepared to be in the right spots, well, guess what? It ain't so much luck as you're being prepared and being in those right spots.
Hey, these one-play games, these one-score games are the difference between a good coach and a not-so-good coach. We already know that here in Detroit, but I got good news for you, Ryan. Last night I was watching NFL Network, as I usually do.
Shocking.
And guess what popped up when they had the playoff picture?
Lions.
In the hunt.
They are?
Detroit Lions are on the screen that says in the hunt. Yes, they are one of 4 teams that have 3 wins, but they have the advantage over those other 3 teams, believe it or not. So they are in the hunt. A win today continues. A win Sunday keeps them in the hunt. Just going forward. With that.
Well, it's interesting, and as you said, that's just what you want to see in December is the Lions on that graphic. But again, that is important for these young guys to play in big games, right? And a big game could be a 4-7 game at the end of the month in November. Maybe, heaven forbid, a 5-7, 6-7 game in December. That's how you learn. That's how you build momentum. That's how you understand what it's like to be in the throes of a playoff fight, right? I mean, you might not think they're going to make the playoffs. You might think associating the word playoffs and Lions and putting those two words next to each other are a ridiculous thing, but it's something that these players have to believe in to keep going, keep themselves going.
You know what? But I disagree. I disagree, and I say I disagree again. Stop thinking about the playoff. I think often now we get too caught up on the journey. Like we get too caught up on the end of the goal. You get caught up on the playoff.
Fair enough.
Or you get caught up on, oh man, if all these things happen, this is what will happen. We'll be able to get to the playoffs. We'll be able to play in. Stop worrying about the playoffs. Like just 2 weeks ago, we were worrying about having the number one pick in the draft. Now all of a sudden you get two. Now all of a sudden you get 2 wins, and now it's okay. Well, maybe there's playoffs. Maybe we could think about playoffs this way. Stop worrying about the playoffs. If you're the fans, if you're the analysts, anybody, it's next game. What the Detroit Lions have to do is they got to focus on playing Brian Daboll and the New York Giants. They have to worry about New York Giants, Brian Daboll, what you're going to do against this defense, what you're going to do against this offense, how you're going to beat Wink Martindale's defense. Focus on that game. Then once you beat the New York Giants, you come back, oh, it's 3 in a row. On to the next one. Now how are we going to beat the Buffalo Bills? Now how are we going to do that? Then if you beat the Buffalo Bills, now let's focus on how are we going to beat the Jaguars, or how are we going to beat whoever's next on the schedule. One game at a time. And then when you look up, oh, by the way, we might have a shot to get in the playoffs. Stop worrying about the end game, the end game. Can't worry about right now.
But isn't that more fun to show up to work? Right?
You want to see your logo on the screen.
Isn't it more fun to show up to work when you're feeling like you got something to play for, though, too? I mean, it helps to win games. It helps to be excited about going to work. And even Dan Campbell does say it helps to just feel good after a W. I mean, you might be friggin' 2-8. But after that Sunday win, I mean, it's easier to show up on Monday after a win.
No, it is. And I didn't say anything about it not feeling good. I'm saying keep the eyes on the prize, which is one game at a time. It feels good to go in there. Hey, you know what? Let's go in there. Let's talk about what happened that game. Let's talk about what we got to win. Let's talk about how this Aiden Hutchinson had this huge play on Montgomery on the goal line. After you break that film down come Wednesday, all right, cool. Let's get into Wednesday. Let's get into the New York Giants. Let's beat the New York Giants. It does feel good to come to work, but stop worrying about way down the line. One team on the board at a time, and right now that team happens to be the New York Giants.
Let's throw it. I'm going to go to Fletch for a second. Fletch, I don't know if I'm throwing you a curveball. I probably am. Do you still have the remaining schedule that you made? If you do, let's pop that up on the screen, and let's just take a quick look at it. This is the Lions' remaining schedule. There are some teams up there that they should beat. And
Jacksonville, Carolina, and Chicago have to be wins. Doesn't it? I mean,
think so.
That alone, just to get to your 6 wins.
Yeah, I think so.
Doesn't that have to be just to get to your 6 wins? That Jacksonville, Carolina, who's a mess, and Chicago. There's your 6.
Right, and they're looking at us saying they should beat us too.
Sure.
They should beat the Lions. So I got all of that. But yes, those should be wins. And then, like I say, you maybe split with the Vikings. I know the Vikings are playing excellent football right now. You've proved over the years you could play against them. They beat them last year for their first win of the year, second win of the year, whatever the heck it was. And they should have beat them this year in Minnesota. Now you get them at Ford Field, Green Bay. Who knows what's going to happen in that week? Like Braylon says, Green Bay might be mailing it in. I don't think they will be.
No.
I don't think they will be.
No.
And the Jets are playing over their head as well.
And then there's the Giants this week. I mean, are you looking at 10 wins?
I'm not looking at 10 wins.
No, stop with the 10-win stuff. No.
I'm not. I'm looking at 6, 7, 8 wins.
Are the Jets playing over their head, or are they playing good defense?
They're playing good.
They're playing good defense. That's not playing over their head. They were playing good defense, and they're running the ball. That's not playing over their heads. That's playing to your strength.
Well, they were running the ball well.
Even when Brian Robinson came in the first week after Brees Hall, he had a good game the first week. You look at Green Bay; they're not mailing it in. I said usually they're mailing it in because they're 13-3, or they're 12-3, or 12-4. They're going to be playing for a playoff spot. So you know what type of team. You guys got lucky 2 weeks ago. Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers are coming, as you have always said all year. Green Bay, you got the Jets are playing good. Minnesota Vikings are playing the best they play. The difference in Minnesota this year versus last year, Minnesota, every game they were in, they were leading. Every game they were in was a one-score game. They couldn't win those games last year. This year, they're seeming to win them. But like you said, Jacksonville is a team that they can beat. Chicago Bears, they've proven they can beat them already. And Carolina is the only thing that bothers me, but they're a team that is a mess.